Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm Abi Small, and today I have something, you might call it a variation on the deck discussion thing. I'm going to do what I'm thinking of as a deck preview. So this is a deck I'm in the midst of testing. So Jubilee is in the running for my next set of 10 heroes that are amongst my favorite heroes to play. And I have an aggression build going here, and I've playtested against Expert Klaw 3 times. I've won once and lost twice. For those who might think, oh, it must be a pretty weak deck, as a reminder, or for those who don't know, when I play against Expert Klaw, I have a house rule so that I always end up with a big minion in play at the beginning of the game. So it is actually a very consistently difficult scenario. In fact, I usually lose to Expert Klaw more often than I lose to Expert Magneto, but part of that is probably the playtesting it goes through. Expert Klaw really helps me to refine my decks. So this is the deck I currently have, and my goal is to keep it close to 41 cards. Close to 40 cards, because Jubilee is pretty squishy with her 9 hit points, right? So she has hit points of 9. Right, hand size of 5, hand size of 6 on her alter ego side. And so she's pretty squishy, and so I want to make sure that my allies can get out there, or that I can at least get, firecrackers out to stun the villain, or a flash of light out to confuse the villain, be able to go to alter ego side, keep her protected. Right, so I've got a fair amount of stuff in here to keep her protected. I might even, remove an ally. So part of what I'm doing here is I'm presenting to you some of the changes I've made, or one change in particular, and also to show you what I currently have. And you're welcome to share your own thoughts of what you would do in this situation. Okay? But I have found that these 2 cards down here, these additions of aggressive energy, are a lot of fun in the deck. I had 1 in there before, so I wanted to put 2 in instead. I don't generally like to have 7 resources in a deck because it makes it just more likely to get dead hands, and so I don't like that, but I'm kind of sacrificing that need to have my decks win really consistently for the fun of aggressive energy. So aggressive energy has this hero interrupt, max 2 per deck. When you spend this card to play an attack event, that event deals 1 additional damage. So it's really cool having that in the many attack cards that we have in this deck, and especially for Grand Finale, right? So Grand Finale deals 2 damage to an enemy, and then for each different resource type that you use to pay for this card, and it's a 3-cost card, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. Without any enhancement, this makes this a 3-cost card that can deal 8 damage and spread that damage around. But then if you happen to play it using 1 aggressive energy, then each of those damages would be 3 damage instead. So you can really start, picking this up, and Keep Up the Pressure is in here for the same type of reason. We could be able to grab that card or any other card possibly that might be needed and enhance it. And, so those will help enhance the attacks from Firecracker as well as from Multi-Talented. Okay? All right. And then the other thing I found is that Wolverine is just a fantastic ally to get out and play. So that's her signature ally. And especially if I can consistently confuse the villain, head over to Alter Ego and be able to get that healing in for 3 damage. But in my last game that I played, Wolverine was even more awesome because I had an attack training on him, and that gave him +1 ATK and +2 hit points to be able to keep him, being able to do his attack more often, right? Because he has a 3 attack, but he does suffer 2 consequential damage for each attack. He has 4 health, right? And just 1 thwart, but at times I'll use it for that too. But attack training allows him to attack more frequently, and especially when we can't go down to alter ego side and get him healed up again. Okay. And so originally I had 1 copy of this in the deck, and it worked out so well when it was on him that I decided I would like to make it more likely that he can really get that, so I put 2 of them in here instead. Okay. My original decks also had, instead of X-Mansion, it had... So X-Mansion I found worked really well, also healing Wolverine, but could also give Jubilee some healing, allow her to not always be having to heal herself so she can be used for other things, such as, if I want to be able to get, what's that card called? Her permanent is listed in here. Shopping spree. That's right. It's not a permanent. So when she gets shopping spree out, right, her alter ego action, she can exhaust her identity to remove a threat from here, and she'll have to do that twice. And then that allows her to, pick any item. So that helps her to get her coat or her sunglasses out. And if I have to, I don't actually use that either. I'll skip it if it doesn't feel like it's going to work out. But it can be really nice in getting these items out into play, because those just make her so much better when she's playing her events, right? They can allow her to get a lot more thwarting or attacking in, and especially when you play multi-talented, when you have both attacks and threat removal. All right, but originally I had Utopia in the deck, and that was working out really well with Readying Jubilee, but I use Utopia in lots of X-Men decks, so I wanted to kind of branch out a little bit and change that up. And because she does go to alter ego side a lot, that's why I have Moira McTaggart in her, so she works out nicely for getting that extra card draw. But the X-Mansion I did find, really valuable. Utopia too, I did have it in the deck originally, but I just wanted to be able to remove it, not just rely on it all the time. So I have attack training in here, endurance to help her, get a little less squishy, and then X gene to also help her play her, she has quite a few events, and so it could help her to play those many events a little bit more cheaply. Plus it's a wild resource, and she wants to, have different resources used for all of her cards to make them more effective. So X gene can help with that. All right. So some of the things I'm thinking about, because if aggressive energy, like I said, I have it in there for the fun, but if I needed to remove it, I could. Originally, I also had a couple of other cards in here. One card I don't intend on bringing back because I just like Grand Finale even better. But I did originally have the aggression card. Let me think of what it's called. Here we go. Full Body Charge, because that's also a great card for her. But I just, it's more expensive than Grand Finale and does basically the same amount of damage. So I decided eventually to just bring it out and be a little less, and just to keep the deck more flexible and tight. But also, we have other ways to get her cards back into her deck. So let me go ahead and show that too. So along the way, I have added Mutant Education, and because it's an alter ego event, right? You can choose up to 2 identity-specific cards in your discard pile and shuffle them into your deck. And if an X-Mansion is in play, draw your card. So that's the original reason why I also wanted to include X-Mansion. But I definitely wanted to make it so I could use Wolverine more readily. Okay. But it is an alter ego event, so we have to be going to alter ego regularly, right? Okay. So those are just some of the changes. And then I also so this is the reason why I'm thinking, maybe I remove one or both of the aggressive energies, because I also had the other basic card that's both an attack and scheme card that's almost as effective as this. It doesn't have the ability to heal your identity, so for sure multi-talented is better. But if I'm protecting Jubilee well, I find sometimes that healing part goes to waste. So I did also have originally 2, sometimes 3 copies of that other one. Let me find that. Hit and Run, I think it's called. Yes. So I also had Hit and Run in here. So it's as effective as multi-talented, except it doesn't have the healing. Now, the healing is really important because it definitely helps Jubilee, but I did find quite a few times when I used multi-talented and just didn't need the healing. And so this could also be effective. So those are some of the things I'm juggling around in my mind for this deck as I go up against currently Klaw, and then eventually I want to go up against Magneto as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts if you also have some thoughts about that too. And let me head back to the deck so you can see it one more time, and just also so I can make sure if there's anything else that I want to point out about the build. A couple of things. I did originally have Professor X in here, which I do like because he has another ability, another chance for us to go down to alter ego. But I decided I wanted to try a deck that doesn't have him. I did still include Nick Fury because just helping to build out the deck, he really helps with that a lot. and then Face the Past as well. She has a Nemesis minion that's not too bad to get rid of, as long as you can make sure to get rid of it right away. So that's not, so it gives us that extra card draw to help set things up too. Anything to get really Jubilee's coat and Jubilee sunglasses in a little bit faster. We also have a build support in here to help get either X-Jet or X-Mansion in. Originally, so another part of the build, right? So I did have that other card that can get one of your upgrades in to kind of speed up the process of Jubilee's coat and Jubilee's sunglasses, getting one of those in. I'm actually thinking about bringing one of those back right now as I'm talking to you. Let me think about if I want to bring that back. Yeah, actually, I think I'm just going to go for a 42 card deck. I'm going to bring that card back. I can't remember what it's called right now, but I'll go get it and put it in the deck. But it's just that, like the last time I played, like the first game I played, that I was able to use Shopping Spree to get some of these out. But most of the games I found, it's just really hard to get that going, and you can always be on your back foot and just never really have a real opportunity to use that card to get these into play. And so I think I want to add that extra insurance to get one of them, get at least one of them into play more certainly and more quickly. So let me go find that card real quickly, show you which one it is. All right, there it is, Superpower Training, right? So once you defeat this, each player may search their deck and discard pile for an identity-specific upgrade and put it into play. By the way, having that in my deck is a part of what makes me tilt towards removing at least one of the aggressive energies, maybe both, and just relying on keep up the pressure to possibly get that extra damage when we really need it. Because I wouldn't mind, if I'm going to have more of these player side schemes in here, I wouldn't mind having more ability to remove that threat from it, and adding some of those one or two copies of Hit and Run back into the deck can make that happen. Right? Plus, I could possibly even, remove an attack training and just say, hey, I'm not going to rely on most of those and focus more on the events. And just if I get lucky and get an attack training on Wolverine, then I do. So that's another possibility. Again, those are the things floating around in my mind. Love to hear your comments. And I am going to test this deck as it is right now against Expert Klaw again. And I'll catch you next time.